Okay, so if you copied the latest code from the web page, your window and processing should now look like this. So we have a new function now, which is draw. The draw function gets called repeatedly as the program runs. So setup gets called one time when the program starts. Draw gets called over and over and over again by processing. So we can use draw to update the screen as it gets called repeatedly. So you'll notice we've moved the background call from setup into draw. That's because we want to update the background as we go. We also have this new declaration here of int x equals 0. I'll break that down for you really fast. Int is the data type of x. That means it's an integer. An integer is any number, but not decimal numbers. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, any negative numbers. We can pick any value for x, and we can change the value of x as the program runs. So x is what we call a variable. A variable is just that, it can change values. So when we call size, we use what we call constants. 640 is a constant number, it doesn't change. But when we use x, we can change that value as the program runs. We initialize x to 0, so that it starts at the shade of black that we have at the beginning. And then we use x as the parameter or the input to background instead of using a constant number like we have been so far. And then finally, we have an update on x here where we say x equals x plus 1. That just means that every time we call draw, x is going to get larger by 1. So now if we run this program, you'll see that it starts with a shade of black, and then it gets gray and then turns to white, and then all of a sudden it goes back to black and it starts to turn blue instead of going to white. So why does that happen? Well, as I said before, computers represent colors in the form red, green, blue. So we have this value x that starts at 0 and eventually goes to 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, so on and so forth. And because the computer is going from left to right in the number, reds are on the furthest left, greens are in the middle, and blues are on the right. As the number gets larger, it initially starts making the color more blue. If the number gets even larger, then it's going to go to green. And if the number gets very large, then it's eventually going to start showing some shades of red. You can mess around with this code a little bit by changing the increment of x to something like 100. And that'll make it change colors a lot faster. So you can try that and see what happens. You can also change the value of x to start at something else. So let's say we start at 1,000,000 instead of at 0, and then the color that it starts with will be green instead of blue. So you can try a few of those changes and see what happens, and have fun with it.